We at Turnstyle are not ashamed to say we were DS kids and very much love Pokemon Diamond Pearl Platinum. So for Sam and I, the Gen 4 remakes have been an exciting proposition we've been stewing on for a decade plus. For some of you Switch kids, this game might be a dramatic transition back to the series' roots, as the remake's ambition is clearly scaled back and doesn't try to replicate a Sword and Shield experience. We know what this remake is not, so crazy high expectations for new changes would be foolish.
We also know Game Freak outsourced this project to Ilka, the developer of such classics like the Domino's app featuring Hatsune Miku.
I'm Scott, president of Domino's Pizza. Have you heard of Hatsune Miku?
By Ilka Inc.
So pushing the envelope is not a realistic expectation here.
These are faithful remakes,
But there should be some bare minimum expectations to look forward to in this product after all. Preservation of scale and unique in-game features seem to be the priority here. We're not expecting anything like new Pokemon or massive changes to the world. The underground, Poffin and contest mechanics, the Pokétch, even ball seals and capsules make a return.
We are confident that this will indeed be a Pokemon game, which, honestly, is a relief. But let's just push beyond the obvious. Sam and I have written down our 10 basic wishes and expectations for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And I'll start with my number one. It's already somewhat been confirmed, but what I really want is for HMs to finally make a glorious comeback. As of right now, with the most recent trailer, I'm feeling optimistic about this one, but first I will acknowledge the elephant in the room. Yes, I said it, I miss HMs, always have from the second they were removed. It has been a net negative for the Pokemon series. The sense of progression HMs supply a game like this is a vital aspect of classic JRPG world exploration. This is not a unique mechanic to Pokemon, it's a tried and true method. Whether it's getting new keys in Dragon Quest or HMs in Pokemon, this puzzle solving progression system has always been a delight. The artificiality of narrative roadblocks in Pokemon games have only gotten more plastic, with intrusively half-baked and ironically lazy barriers peppering the game ever since HM's role shrank in Gen 5. And Diamond and Pearl are not excused from this. There are a lot of lazy NPC blockades throughout the game that I also have a problem with. HMs play a polyvalent role, a tool for developers to direct story progress, as well as one to reward the player's memory and exploration. The Pokemon series has contracted to an upsetting degree, and movement simplified to a point where the route design has been stripped of secrets and scale. Pokemon's map design has become an emperor with no clothes, truly devolving into a sort of odd sense of tourism, with even more contrived world building and out-of-bound lines you can't cross. But more importantly, what HMs do better than something like Dragon Quest keys is the way each progression item is an ability tied to your personal cache of party members. This is not just the trainer's adventure. To traverse this large expanse of a region requires the assistance of your Pokemon, not just in battle, but in the overworld as well. How is this not worth HM's inclusion? I don't want to just hit a menu option and then someone else's Pokemon, like in Sun and Moon, does the HM stuff for me. Nor do I want it just completely removed utterly, like in Sword and Shield, except for the bike is like this new surfing mechanic. It's such a weird kind of design. They really don't have an identity anymore. Now, what's the problem with HMs? I'm not blind to the problems. They took up at least 1/4 of your precious move slot real estate and were incredibly frustrating to shuffle in and out of your main team. There are some solutions to this, like making them rewritable like they did with Flash in Gen 4, without the need of a move deleter, or perhaps make them better, because too often HMs are just bad moves in battle, and this is especially the case in Gen 4. I admit there's a lot of HMs in Gen 4, but I will further specify my hope here, as HMs have been confirmed by Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. They seem pretty excited about it, so it's actually like a blurb in the trailer. Use hidden moves, and you see the Bidoof using the move Cut. You see Staraptor, the classic animation plays using the move Fly, surfing on Bibarel. You see Rock Climb selected and you see Bibarel's animation. This seems to be a move in the right direction here. We don't see the player going into a menu of the party and selecting a move, but it all takes place in this localized Pokétch app. So when a player selects one of these HMs, we gotta see all the classic stuff that I want back, and presumably the Pokemon using them is in your party. Hey everybody, Editing Tom here. While I was editing this video, the previews for the Pokemon BDSP games came out and confirmed It is not your own Pokemon using moves. It is predetermined wild Pokemon that are being summoned to use specific HM moves, and so that's kind of odd. I mean, I still like this a little bit more than what we've been doing in the past by removing HMs, but it is kind of weird that you just like wrangle some random wild Pokemon to do your bidding for you through the Pokédex app. Whatever. I'm gonna, just to save you the time, I'm kind of just, let's move on. Because that's not the case here. Anyway.
First up for me, we gotta talk about that art style. Look, I absolutely adore the original mix of pixel and low poly art that the Diamond and Pearl games had. To me, this is peak Pokemon aesthetic. With that said though, it's impossible for me to say that the new overworld art style is an improvement with its rather awkward chibi walk cycles and overly shiny Unity-esque finish. However, once you engage in combat, the in-battle animations, especially for the unique trainer models, are so much more expressive than I think we've ever gotten in any other mainline Pokemon game. You got Riley looking hella shonen with his hair and hat blowing in the breeze from the fan Rotom slightly off camera, and Gardenia is on her Genki girl shit. Look at her twirl, it's cute! I only hope that they make use of these in-battle cinematics to capitalize on this more impressive presentation. Perhaps some cutscenes can take place in this perspective, where more expressive, cinematic, and appealing presentation can be applied to the many moments of grandeur in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl's plot. I mean, I hate to admit how fucking cool these Dialga and Palkia renders are in the marketing material, and I'm gonna be fucking pissed if we don't see them in the final game. I'm sorry, but if something serious is gonna happen with these weirdos on screen, it's gonna be really lame. And suck netballs.
I really hope they're able to preserve Sinnoh's textured route design. One huge reason that these games are such beloved and memorable Pokemon games is due to Sinnoh as a region itself, its diversity. There are so many rich, delectably textured areas in Sinnoh. Big snowy routes where you can just barely trudge through. Foggy mountain ranges that you scale up and down to reach new points of visibility. Sticky glazed marshes to get stuck in and wrestle your way out of, the labyrinthine caverns of Mount Coronet, or the spooky mist of the winding Eterna Forest. These areas have a distinct atmosphere and, most interestingly, often provide a direct and noticeable impact to player movement. The player must confront these moment-to-moment challenges of the biomes, match their rhythm and their topography. I'm not just making it up. Very often these are the routes they advertise in these new trailers that are coming back. They are great routes to highlight because of their visual appeal and distinctive texture. You really think they'd include Route 217, the snow route, as much as they do in these trailers, even in the nostalgic opening montage, if it wasn't a legendary moment in the original game? This is why there's people like me that love routes like 217. It is memorable, a unique challenge of intensified weather, texturing the level and thus our adventure with this mighty blizzard to overcome, and you really feel the sense and the weight of it. Please, Ilka, do not try to sanitize these lovingly gruff and sandpapery surfaces of Sinnoh into a Gen 8-like sheen.
You know what I want out of the Gen 4 remakes? Full quest lines for legendary Pokemon, specifically the mythicals Darkrai, Shaman, and Arceus. In the original DS games, these Pokemon could be battled through using certain mystery gift items in specific areas. However, these small pieces of limited release DLC were short quests simply aimed at catching the Legendaries and not much more. I quite despise the generic dimensional rifts they've been using with Legendaries recently, where each one is just sitting waiting for you in some cheap abstract Neospace. It hurts so much of the legend that makes legendary Pokemon, well, fucking legendary. After all, Ho-Oh didn't become a legendary Pokemon by chilling and sipping on a banana split from the interdimensional Steak and Shake. I'd love to see Ilka take these encounters and expand on them in the base game. Maybe by providing a more detailed side story to finding the legendaries, like how Darkrai is sending children into nightmare comas, or have an exploration side quest for the Azure Flute, bringing some more pomp and circumstance to the battle with Arceus on the Spear Pillar. It's time to pay these Pokemon the respects they deserve. Oh, and on that note, I hope they bring in Regirock, Regice, and Registeel to the main game as catchable Pokemon, so that Regigigas can make a triumphant return without having to trade in all the previous Regis from other games like we had to in the original Diamond and Pearl.
Okay, let's dig into some more lore, but I really caution obsessing over it. This game will provide the opportunity to disambiguate some lore, important events, locations, and places in a way only a game with 3D models can. Seeing Eternacity's Dialga statue in such detail is a cool moment that just wasn't as impressive back on the DS. I'd love to preserve and then expand on this lore presented in the original games. However, with the upcoming Pokemon Legends Arceus, I don't want to obsess over the past in a way that every NPC's dialogue feels like an advertisement for Game Freak's upcoming game set in feudal Sinnoh. Let people live their lives, but in key and impactful moments, provide some heavy lore dumps that hint at what might happen in Legends. Sinnoh is the best at crazy lore. A lot of the wackiest nonsense lore comes from this gen, and I don't want that to change. But hopefully, the history of Sinnoh isn't the only thing every character in the game thinks about, trying to set up the plot for the next game. Let's be subtle, please. I beg and plead I never read a line from Cyrus talking about some words of wisdom his great-great-grandmother Captain Silene passed down through the ages. I honestly hate how unsubtle and similar they made the worlds of Legends to present-day Diamond and Pearl. Like, stuff like naming the expedition organization Galaxy Team and all of these descendants. It's exactly the bad writing I don't want. Super cheesy, corny, way too simple, unbelievable world to have so many of the same features so far into the future. Let the game stand alone. But when I inevitably play Legends, I'm not saying I don't want to be rewarded for paying attention to things like talking to the right people, observing the hidden details, reading books at the Canalave Library, so there can be a couple neat aha moments when I get my hands on the next game. Let's not squander this opportunity either. Both games share a region and share a back-to-back release timing, so by not providing any connection between the two would also be disappointing.
Next up on the list, it's make it easier to complete the dex. Sinnoh has some notoriously rare and difficult Pokemon to catch within its regional dex. Munchlax was the prime example, only spawning on 4 of 21 honey trees in the game, with those 4 honey trees being completely randomized every playthrough. And of those 4 honey trees, Munchlax only had a 1% chance of actually spawning. And you had to wait 6 real-world hours to try again on each honey tree, and don't think you could save scum your way out of the grind either. It was such a comedically bad decision, as it was near impossible that anyone would find a Munchlax during their playthrough. There's no way this motherfucker Barry caught one of these legally, but fuck it. Let's just say you finally do it and you catch the Munchlax, just after the average estimate of 43 days. The pain's not over because now you have to raise its fucking friendship stat in order to get an actually good Pokemon. I mean, say what you will about Magikarp, I don't have to force feed it a mukbang of Poffins and walk around with it for an hour in order to evolve it into Gyarados. Friendship evolutions plague Diamond and Pearl in particular, with it featuring 10 different friendship evolutions and its dex of 150 Pokemon. And before the 3rd gym, 6, 7 if you include Munchlax, but as previously gone over, why bother, of the Pokemon you can encounter require the friendship evolution, meaning that you would need to do some especially early game grinding to make them usable. This is why it's such a meme on how everyone defaults into using the same 10 Pokemon whenever they replay Diamond and Pearl. Just kidding, no one replays those games, but more on that later. I'd really love Ilka to find a way to streamline friendship in BDSP without the game breaking nonsense the affection stat brings to the table. But even if friendship is still a whack mechanic, at least it looks like Munchlax will be easier to catch in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. When they introduced these new underground areas with unique Pokemon spawns, they knew what they were doing when they had the trainer encounter a Munchlax first. Message received. However, let's not go too far. I do like there being some rare Pokemon and challenges to dex completion, but let's make sure they're reasonable, okay? Just for the love of all that is holy, nothing like Spiritomb, please! Also, consider this a small bonus point for me, but on the topic of the Pokedex, I really hope Ilka errs on the side of Platinum's buffed out regional dex of 210 Pokemon, complete with the new Gen 4 additions now available in the native dex and before the post-game, unlike the originals. Seriously, DP's dex was quite dire. Throw a stone and you hit a water-type Pokemon, over 30 of them in the game. And if you didn't pick Chimchar, you only had one option for a fire-type Pokemon in the whole main game. And it's fucking Rapidash!
Hello everybody, it's Editing Tom again. It's my new character for this channel. This was going to be a number all about the experience share. I was hoping they would balance the experience share more. That's obviously not the case for the previews that just came out that I mentioned earlier. That the experience share in BDSP is always on and right from the beginning, and also you know, your whole party gains the experience, kind of like what we've been used to, right, the past few games. And this was exactly what I didn't want, right? And I want to just address it a bit more in depth here, because it's kind of caused some like drama on like Twitter. People were dunking on people that were criticizing this, because grinding is pointless and has nothing to do with difficulty. And that is like the incorrect argument to push back against, because I agree, Pokemon games are easy. I don't remember really any really extensive, frustrating early Pokemon game grinding sessions I had to do. I mean, that's the whole point, right? Like, people are saying that grinding is about difficulty and Pokemon games have always been easy. Exactly. The only difference between an older Pokemon game and a new one when it comes to grinding is you had to actually use all your Pokemon for them to be valuable, right? So that's kind of the big complaint I have. Grinding is not pointless, nor does it have any link to difficulty per se. Grinding, since Dragon Quest, right? Since the very beginning, is a video game mechanic metaphor for the adventure and for the great, things you have to overcome to succeed at it, right? Like, it's not about being difficult, it's about investing and training and getting better, that hard, monotonous work that people have to do to succeed in adventure or in life, right? It's a genius, tried and true video game mechanic that perfectly metaphors onto this fantasy adventure, right? That is what grinding is in Pokemon, and in Pokemon it's even more important because it's also the way you build a relationship with your Pokemon. What I don't like about modern experience share is you can, never look your Pokemon in the eye. You can be complete like deadbeat dad and never even use them once, and they can still fully evolve from like level 2 all the way to the end of the game and be totally as strong as everyone else in your party. And you didn't have to invest your time and attention to them, train them, right? The Pokemon trainer, it's like the whole point. And I've just never liked that. It really takes the wind out of the early game. Here's what I would want, right? Here's what I was gonna say I want, right? In this number, if everything wasn't the way it was. I don't mind there being experience share as it was in Diamond and Pearl, where you put it on a single Pokemon and you can catch a single Pokemon up in your party. That's fine to me. But for the people that want, because this is very popular, right? This is a very popular quality of life improvement. For people that want this kind of broken experience share, I don't mind it being in the game, like late in the game. Like, whoa, you beat the 8th gym, here's your reward, you upgrade your experience share. Hey, Victory Road, you get the experience share. Oh, you beat the game, here's this broken experience share we upgraded for you. Because I'll agree, grinding for red, grinding in post game sucks. Grinding even in late game, like for the Elite Four, totally. Give it to us at the 8th gym. That to me is a compromise I'm willing to give, right? It's the fact that you get it immediately that it does so much harm to the early and mid game progression and that sense of adventure and that attachment to your Pokemon. It's not even about difficulty here. Like, it's just not about difficulty. It's about It's about the time investment. It's about the grind. And this is maybe I'll make a whole video on why grinding is important in RPGs. Maybe that's important. Not every RPG, obviously, but ones like these, right? These classic RPGs. Grinding is not some kind of needless annoyance. It is important. Even if you don't notice what you're doing, your brain did, right? Like, that's what's happening with the grind. So, little disappointed by that. Can't say I'm surprised, but it's something that the series is just doing to make it more accessible, I guess. But again, I was a baby when playing this game when I was red and blue, right? And I was able to play it, so I don't know about accessibility very much as a quality argument for this. That was gonna be this number. Obviously, this just got completely unconfirmed while editing, and so I just wanted to throw this in here. Moving on to the next one. Take it away, Sam.
The next item on my list is no throwaway battle gimmicks, please. Like we mentioned before, we really don't know much about the full breadth and scope of Brilliant Diamond and Shining and Pearl's battling. It's been so long since a Pokemon game didn't have some Dragon Ball Z type crazy meta changing mechanic. Like Mega Evolution, Z-Moves, or Gigantamax. All I really want is a really clean, well-balanced, and most importantly, snappy battle system that relies on the already insane depth and possibility space of the base formula we've known and loved for 25 years. That was what Gen 4 was known for, its improvement to the base structure of Pokemon battling with the physical special split. It didn't try to reinvent the wheel with shallow, unimpressive anime shit, and it's arguably the most important addition to the entire Pokemon formula. Obviously, these other things don't stick, as Game Freak throws them away with every new generation. This would be a game changer if BDSP delivered a back-to-basics, no-nonsense Pokemon game that didn't rely on cheap, back-of-the-box filler mechanics that distract from the incredible system already in place.
I hope the music stays good. Gen 4 music, real good. I think we can all agree. Definitely some of my favorite tracks series-wide. And so far, like, I haven't been offended by any of the clearly redone tracks in the trailers, but obviously, many of the favorite tracks have yet to be heard. I'm still nostalgic for that sharp and dark chocolatey video game bonk of the originals, and this more artificial instrumental style that the games have picked up since X and Y have never vibed with me as hard. Sinnoh's OST helps sell the region's snowy northern hemisphere setting, and features tracks that would go on to become classic Pokemon music. I mean, all you need to hear is BDSP's announcement trailer. The title screen music is iconic. It just sets up this ominous tone these games really would push throughout. The new instrumental sound for the remakes is just not as good to me. But hopefully the bangers will stay bangers, and we'll all know the second we hit Route 201 if they missed the mark or not.
And last but not least, let's not forget Platinum. While I have a lot of small issues with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, one big problem is how it ignored the additions and improvements the original GBA games received in Pokemon Emerald. Axing a ton of areas and content like the Battle Frontier was such a bummer in ORAS. However, you could go back and replay Vanilla Ruby and Sapphire today and have more or less the same great experience as you would in Emerald, barring some narrative and post-game additions. However, the jump in quality between that of DP and Platinum is much higher. It added so much to the region of Sinnoh that it feels essential to the experience of Gen 4, and I don't want to lose what it brought to the table. Here's a big one, kinda obvious, but in general I want them to take good care of the postgame. Platinum has some of the best postgame content in the entire mainline series. There's a whole other island to explore, 15 legendaries to hunt down and catch, 5 different battle facilities at the Battle Frontier, an Elite Four rematch with a complete new and improved teams, and like a million other things to do. The postgame was, for a time, an important and valuable part of the Pokemon experience. Yeah, the mainline story is fun to run through, but the postgame is where you gain access to some of the best Pokemon, moves, lore, and items. It's a shame that it's been heavily neglected in recent entries like Pokemon Sword and Shield, in favor of $30 worth of DLC, I might add. Jabs aside, I really wish these postgame elements managed to stick around in the remake, especially the Battle Frontier. Assuming the remake incorporates the later entries' EV training quality of life improvements, there will actually be a meaningful, single-player reason to utilize this feature and train to build up competitively viable teams and engage with Pokemon on a deeper mechanical level that only happens in ROM hacks and Pokemon Showdown.
Alright, that's our realistic, bare minimum expectations that these remakes need to meet to be worth playing over Platinum or the originals, right? We both want to love these games. Gen 4 means a lot to us. And even though we know this remake does not dramatically alter the way we experience this game in a moment-to-moment way, it is not like there's no room for improvement, especially with Diamond and Pearl. And this is important because this might become the new standard for Pokemon remakes moving forward. Anyway, thank you so much for watching our video on the Gen 4 remakes. If you like this video and want to see more like it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, as well as a comment about what you want in the BDSP remakes. Comments are good because they appease the YouTube elder gods. And in the meantime, make sure to subscribe to Turnstyle, where we will be back to give the full report card on BDSP's successes and or failures after it comes out in November. Take care.